Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Political Ray. I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend, even if you were out protesting. Hope it was a good weekend for you, everybody. So we've got the hands-off movement, as they called it. That's what it's been dubbed, apparently. And there was protests all over the U.S. Salt Lake City, Oregon, Seattle, San Diego, a few other places. We'll get into that. A lot of misinformation going around about it, but we will get into it and we'll talk about that. I'll give you my opinions. Like I said, a lot of misinformation going around, a lot of lies, and again, we'll get into it. Um, Also, we've got the tariffs. Some news about tariffs. It's not as bad as everybody thinks it is. Anyway, we'll get into that. The TikTok ban that was supposed to take place on April 5th. Now, President Trump has pushed it back again, but we'll get into that. And then also got the story about the DHS asking the IRS to help them out with locating illegals that have been paying taxes. We'll get into that. Before we do, hey, hit that like, follow me. You can subscribe on YouTube if you like, but just go to Rumble. I am live 7:30 Eastern to 8:30, just ahead of the Rumble lineup, starting at 9 o'clock. So, but we'll get into this, and hey, you can let me know what you think. I think this whole hands off movement, I think it's BS. There's no, I don't know what they're protesting. Honestly, what are you protesting? You're protesting, less government, less funding being wasted, less taxpayer funding being wasted and going to foreign governments, foreign agencies, foreign crap shoot for agencies, stupid ideologies that transgenderism in foreign countries, Sesame Street in foreign countries, LGBTQ plus AAIP, whatever you call it, funding for a comic book. You're protesting this. You're protesting less government. You're protesting getting criminal illegals getting off our streets, being deported. Anyway, Medicaid, Medicare, lies. They're not touching it. They've actually increased Medicare. But anyway, we'll get into this one first. This is Congressman McBride, and he was out talking. He was giving his little speech. And we'll take a look at this. This is just, again, more lies spewed from the left, but we'll get into it here. Check out Congressman McBride.
And we are here today because while we know that Donald Trump thinks that he can place his hands anywhere.
It's supposed to be a joke, not funny, but okay.
We're telling him, hell no, hands off our Social Security.
Not being touched.
Hands off our Medicaid.
Not being touched.
Hands off Medicare.
Actually, it has been increased in funding.
Hands off SNAP.
SNAP needs to be revamped and rehauled. It needs to be overhauled. That's a better word for it. It needs to be completely overhauled. I don't agree with the fact that, and this has been a talking point for some time, why is it that people that are on SNAP are allowed to buy junk food? It boggles the mind. I don't agree with it. I don't think it should be a thing. You shouldn't be able to go and buy soda pop with SNAP. Do you know that the number one purchased item on SNAP, you know what it is? It's soda pop. Sugary, horrible for you soda pop. Look, I don't care if you want to drink soda. I don't. But I don't think that it should be funded by taxpayer dollars for you to drink soda, candy, potato chips that are just stuff that's just completely bad for you. I think it should be used for eggs, milk, bread, meat, nothing pre-cooked or nothing pre-cooked, nothing that's already been cooked that you can just buy ready to go. Food that you have to prepare for yourself and your family. I understand people fall on hard times. I understand that people need help at times. I do not agree with the fact that these people are getting on SNAP and they're buying soda pop and potato chips and candy and everything that's bad for you. Again, I'll say it one more time. The number one thing purchased with SNAP benefits is soda pop. Shouldn't be a thing. You can drink juice. Juice is good, healthy, good for you juice. Vitamin D, C, what have you. Stuff that your body actually needs, not crap like soda. You can debate me if you think I'm wrong, but look, I don't think that there's a good argument against that. Anyway.
Hands off our kids. Hands off women's rights. Hands off LGBTQ rights.
Look, my whole thing, everybody who knows me knows that I'm not a fan of the LGBTQP, AAI plus, whatever you want to call it. Not a fan. I think it's a mental condition and it needs to be treated as such. We are enabling a mental condition.
We are here because we know our lives and the lives of our neighbors are worth fighting for. We know that our future is worth fighting for. And
look, just to be clear, this is the whole point of the tariffs and everything that he's doing within the government. Is yes, there's going to be some hard times. But with everything that's been going on within this country, in order to change it for the better, there's going to be a period of strife. That's just the reality of it, and I've accepted this. I am okay with the fact that my vote went towards this guy who is trying to clean up the government, and if I have to deal with a little bit of a hard time, little intermediate, tough, rough going of it, as they say, then I'm fine with that, as long as there's a light at the end of the tunnel and we come out ahead. Now, he's already come out and said that we're going to have more money than we will know what to do with. I hope that is the case, but I will give him the benefit of the doubt as of right now because of the fact that I voted for what he's doing. Again, there has to be a light at the end of the tunnel. If we come out ahead, fantastic. That's what I want. I want less government. I want less waste. I want less government spending on waste. I want our taxpayer dollars not being wasted going to foreign countries and funding stupid crap. I want women to be protected in their spaces. I don't want them having to undress in front of a male. I don't want them competing against males. This is all stuff that I've voted for. I do not like this stuff, and I want it to go away. This is, in a lot of these are 80-20 issues. That meaning that the majority of Americans agree with this. Now, yes, you could say there was a lot of people out at these protests, and I won't deny that. There was a lot of people, and I give credit where credit is due. There was no violence. Honestly, I'm very surprised at that. Because in most cases, when you get the Democrats together like this, there is some violence. But there is, I think, a reasoning behind that, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. But right now, we're going to go ahead and move on to Mr. Swalwell, Eric Swalwell. Now, we all remember this guy. If you don't, little reminder, he's the guy that was entangled in a romance with a Chinese spy who has since mysteriously died under, less than, ideal circumstances. That being said, this person who was a Chinese spy, I forget the actual name. Everybody calls her Fang Fang. That's just what I'm going to refer to her as because that's what everybody called her. I know it's not her real name, but that's how everybody knows her. Old Fang Fang and Eric Swalwell had a romantic relationship, and it was more than just, lovey-dovey stuff. It was intimate and everything else. And everybody knows that this guy it's more than likely that he was giving secrets to this person. That how would he not? Anyway, take a look at this. This is him at this hands-off movement, whatever you want to call it. But again, I give credit where credit is due. There was no violence that I saw. But again, I think there's reasoning behind that, and we will get into that. But here, It's a little low for this guy.
America first. It's Trump first. This guy is a con. Trump Bibles, made in China. Trump sneakers, made in China. The Trump shitcoin, made on a computer, made in China.
Look, and I will explain this because everything he just said, I can explain away. Let me just say, Trump Bibles, made in China. Okay. Trump sneakers, made in China. Okay. But tell me why. Tell me why that stuff is made in China. How about you, Eric? Tell me why that the stuff that he sells is made in China. There's a lot of American companies that have their product come in from China, but why? Because the Democrats sent all of these manufacturing jobs overseas, into China, into Mexico, what have you. This guy can come out against China all he wants, but I know for a fact that this guy is grandstanding and he's shooting out these Democrat talking points so that people come out against President Trump. But it was their policies that made it to where American manufacturing jobs cannot take place in America. They're all in foreign countries, namely China and Mexico. Why is that? Because the Democrat policies made it this way. This is what happens when you open up and say, we're going to have open and free and fair trade, when it was never free and fair because we were tariffed out the yin yang by these other countries. China specifically had a very high tariff rate on imported goods from the U.S. So they can do it to us, but we can't do it to them. This is what the Democrat talking point is. They're saying, oh, the stock market's dropping because of blah, 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 and the tariffs are bad, and it's going to raise taxes for Americans. It's going to be rough for a little bit. But the whole point of the tariffs is to bring American manufacturing back to the States. Period. And I think that's a good thing. Anyway, let's keep going with Mr. Swalwell.
And he's not just disappearing people. He's disappearing rights.
Tell me where he's disappearing people. Are you talking about the illegal immigrants that have come into this country and are violent gang members that have been sent out of our country? Because I'm fine with that. I've said it 100 times. I'll say it 100 more every time they talk about this crap. I am fine with these people not being in our streets, in our neighborhoods where our children are playing. I'm fine with it. They may not be. This is their argument. Let it be known they do not care about their people. Because if they did, they would have done something before President Trump came back into office, and they would have been the ones to try and get these illegal, violent gang members out of our country.
And to that we say, disappear, we're still here.
This is funny to me because he tries to start a chant, okay? And it doesn't work. I've seen this a few times now. Kamala did it. These people, I think, oh gosh, what's his name? Tim Walz. See, that's how important that guy is to me. They try to start these chants and it doesn't work. I don't know if the people that are there just don't care. They have no interest in what this guy's actually saying because everything he says is a lie. But anyway, I mean, he tries to start this chant and it just doesn't work. You don't hear anything from the crowd. Maybe there's not even a crowd there. I don't know because they never show the other side. But anyway.
Our veterans, we're still here. We're still here. We're still here.
Crickets. You can hear a couple people chanting it. Anyway, it's very low audio. Apologize for that, but that's the best one I could find for old Eric. But anyway, there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of fake people out there, especially on X, okay? Don't believe everything that you see on X. If you see something that looks a little fishy, it probably is. Especially when they tout the numbers that are not anywhere close to what they actually are. Now, I will tell you, there was a lot of people that showed up to these protests. I won't deny that. But there's a lot of people out there that are they're gonna try and fool you and say that there was a lot more than what there actually was. This being a key point. There's people peddling this stuff every you just put it into the search bar on X and you come up with this kind of stuff. Look, this is from this Randy Hay guy. Protest yesterday in Columbus, Ohio. It was beautiful, man. That is not a picture of one of these rallies. This is actually, look, this is a picture of Woodstock in 69. These people have no shame. They will take whatever picture they can find that tries to build up what they're trying to promote, and they'll just put it out there. I've reposted a couple of these pictures on X telling people, look, this is not the case. I did this one. This is a Woodstock picture from 1969, Woodstock. And this guy's going to come off and he's going to say that this is from the protest yesterday, meaning Saturday on the 5th. This is a protest yesterday in Columbus, Ohio. It was beautiful, man. It's not from the 5th. It's from Woodstock in 69. These people have no shame. They don't care. They will push out these false narratives however they can. Now, we got that one, plus we got another one here. This one is wild to me because there's a couple of different things with this one. Now, look at this one. This is crazy. This person, let me get rid of the picture here and just go on the post. Look, this is from this person, Holly Bryden. Exhausted, but filled with hope and a renewed commitment to #resistance. Nearly 500,000 fellow resistors joined me in Seattle today to protest fascism, electric cars, and fiscal responsibility. Let me just say one thing. The Democrats were the ones pushing the EVs, and now they're against them. And fascism is something that you're against, but it's exactly what the Democrats want. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, this picture in question. Now, this is a picture of a cotton field. Look, you got a combine on each side here. You got, looks like some other factory things, tilling machines, what have you. I don't know. But these look like combines to me. This is a cotton field. Now, just at a glance, yeah, it looks like a crowd of people. I've seen other people say that this is actually a picture from the Metallica concert in Germany. It's not. This is a picture of a cotton field. As I said, at a glance, sure, you could probably mistake it for a crowd. It's not. Look, you can clearly see the two combines on each side of this picture. This is a cotton field that they're trying to pass off as a crowd for this stupid protest that's going on throughout the country on Saturday. It's done now, but this is the kind of stuff that they're pushing out. Just don't believe everything you see on this stuff because a lot of it is fake. It's insane to me. They don't, and a lot of these people, they don't even know what they're protesting. They're just out there. There's a lot of stuff going around about these people being funded by Soros and other, funded NGO type places. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it really wouldn't. There's also this thing going around about there's a lot of just older people, and people are wondering where's the youth for these protests. Nobody saw. There wasn't a lot of youth that I saw either. I saw a couple things, and I was like, huh, that's interesting because I don't remember seeing a lot of youth. It looked like a bunch of older people, which boggles my mind as well because, well, I guess it shouldn't just because of the fact that older people are not the ones that are, listening to alternative media. They're on that mainstream media. They're watching MSNBC, CBS, what have you, CBS, MSNBC, NBC, Fox. Which again, I'll say this every time I bring up Fox. I don't think that they're telling the truth entirely either. Yes, they are more right than the rest of those news media outlets, but they're not exactly pure as far as like, oh, they're just right-wing propagandists. No, they push left-wing stuff too. Just anyway, the youth are the ones that are listening to alternative media. People like Tim Pool, Steven Crowder, Jeremy at the Quartering, Viva Fry. All these like the lineup on Rumble. The younger people, the younger generation are listening to these alternative media types, and they're not getting all their news from the mainstream media. Now, I watch it. Wish I didn't have to, but I do. Just so I can be informed on what they're saying, and I take a look at both sides and what have you. But look, that's just I mean, it's the way it's been. The youth, a lot of the younger people are moving towards the right because of the fact that they're online. They don't get a lot of their news from the mainstream media. Now, the mainstream media is making a push into the alternative space, namely YouTube. But that's why a lot of people are on YouTube. They're getting their news from YouTube. But a lot of these people, they have migrated over to Rumble. Rumble has the number one time slot from 9 a.m. all the way to 4 in the afternoon, because they have moved to Rumble, because they're moving towards the alternative space. YouTube, everybody knows that YouTube silences people that don't go with the narrative. That's just how it is, and everybody sees it. So there's been a mass migration over to YouTube, or to Rumble rather, for these alternative spaces, these alternative media spaces. But anyway, that being said, the youth they haven't shown up to this. There are some, but not many. It's the majority of them have been older people, which does happen to explain why there hasn't been a lot of violence as well. Because the youth are the ones that usually do the violence, the vandalism, that kind of stuff. Not saying everybody does, but that's typically who does all that kind of stuff. Left-wing youth are the ones that do that kind of stuff. Not all of them, but mostly. Anyway, we'll take a look at this. This is somebody who is actually pointing this out, that they don't see a lot of youth. And she herself is a youth. I imagine she looks like one. But we'll take a look at her. And she, like I said, she makes the point that she does not see a lot of youth at these protests.
I'm at the protest right now in New York City, anti-Trump, anti-fascist protests, and I have one question. Where the fuck is Gen Z? These people are cheering, they're talking like it's just the 60s, it's just like the 60s, and they're having conversations and walking slowly. There's no fight here, there's no youth here. It's all 30-somethings and their children, and then seniors, and God bless everybody who showed up today, but I'm really fucking disappointed in the youth turnout. Where is the youth turnout? This is your future that is going to be impacted by the actions of the Trump administration.
She's not wrong. I mean, as far as the youth, she says, where are they? It's a valid question. This is just my opinion, but my opinion is they're not there because they listen to alternative news media. Now, that's just my 2 cents on it. That's why I think that they're not there. You can let me know what you think. Maybe you tell me why you think that they weren't at all these rallies, these protests. Let me know.
And it's really this easy to show up in numbers and show your government that they're outnumbered. That is the point of a protest, to show that your government, that they are outnumbered. And if Trump leads you to believe that protesting does nothing, then this is what we get. We get a crowd of 30-somethings and their children and seniors, and barely any teenagers ever. Like, these, oh my God.
Look, another reason why that there's no youth, teens, these, at these rallies, a lot of teens just don't care. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth of it. A lot of teenagers, they'd rather do something else. They're hanging out with their friends. They're doing other stuff. They don't care. There's most teens, I can tell you, I have a couple teenagers, they don't care. They'd rather be doing something. They're hanging out with their friends. They're going and doing other stuff. They don't care about going to a protest. It's not fun for them. They don't care. Again, you let me know what you think. You can tell me why you think that they're not showing up to these things. But I think for one, they listen to alternative media and they can see what's actually going on. And for two, they don't care. They got better things to do. They're in school. They get the weekends off. They'd rather be doing something else, hanging out with their buddies, having a good time. They don't want to go to a protest. It's not fun for them. Let me know.
I can't even. Like, where are you going if you're not going to the protest right now?
They're going to hang out with their friends. They're having a good time, doing whatever they want. They're teenagers. They could care less.
What's more important?
Look, I can tell you, as a teenager, I did not care about politics. I didn't care about going to a protest, a rally, what have you. I did not care. I can imagine that it's the same thing for the youth today. Somebody who's in their teenage years, they're not going to go to these things because they don't care. Anyway, the left-wing lies are, I think that's a big proponent of it, that people are just, they see through the lies because a lot of people, as I said, and I'll say it again, they're on alternative media. They're listening to Tim Pool. They're listening to Steven Crowder. I don't have a big following. Maybe I'll get a bigger one as it goes on, but hopefully we'll see. They just, there's alternative media sources out there, and people are actually getting information. I mean, Steven Crowder is a prime example. He puts all his references out there, and he encourages people to click on his references. Go do your own research. And I do the same. I tell you, everybody all the time, do your own research. Sometimes it takes a quick 30-second Google search. Sometimes it takes a little longer to get the information that you're actually looking for. But just do your own research. I'm telling you, it'll be worth it. It'll open your eyes. Anyway, another reason is they're not showing, 'cause these people, I don't think that the majority of them don't even know why they're actually there. There's a lot of these videos going around, and I started following this guy when I saw this clip, and he seems to do some pretty good work. This is the Patriot Oasis. He says, wow, these protesters are so effing dumb. They can't tell you what they're protesting about. This is the case in a lot of, if you go talk to the majority of these people, they don't even know what they're protesting there. They're just there for what? Anyway, we'll take a look at this guy. I think this is pretty good, but we'll take a look. You can tell me what you think, but this just it's a prime example of they don't actually know what they're there for. They just spew talking points, and they can't give examples. Like if somebody says, "Oh, I'm here to fight against Elon Musk," well, what has he done? Oh, he's a fascist, and he's a Nazi. Okay, name me something specific that he did. They can't.
What are we protesting today?
Donald Trump.
Well, what's Donald Trump doing that we're protesting?
Well, he is fucking up the American democracy right now and trying to kind of repeal a bunch of shit in the Constitution, like, rights and liberties. So,
is there anything in specific that he's...
I don't have all the information, but I do know.
What are you against?
Personally, I'm against tyrants. I'm against tyranny. That's what I'm against.
What is...
Left-wing talking points. It's all these people know. It's because, look, again, I'll say it again. A quick Google search on Gronk is pretty good at looking at this type of stuff too. Just do a quick Grok search. It's not that hard. Do your own research. Just don't take what the left-wing media is pushing out, because they don't give examples either. They just push out their talking points, and people just roll with it. Anyway,
what is that?
Somebody who's coming in and trying to take over the country and get rid of the rules and regulations that have existed for centuries to keep us citizens safe.
And who do you think is doing that?
Currently, Donald Trump and Elon Musk and all of his cabinet members.
Why Elon Musk, though?
The Department of Government Efficiency, he was put in charge of a department that doesn't even exist before.
It did exist. They just renamed it, but that's besides the point.
And he's not even an American.
Who's not an American?
Elon Musk.
Okay.
He's from South Africa. I don't know if you knew that.
How do you feel about Donald Trump?
I think that he deserves to die.
You should what?
Die.
That's
okay.
insane. Look, anybody who advocates for anybody to die is not a good person. I don't care who you are. Nobody should be advocating for the death of anybody. Anybody. I have there's politicians that I really cannot stand, that I despise. I would never wish death upon them. Never. That kind of look, that's just the left tolerance though. That's what they don't care. They just don't. And congressmen, congresswomen, they don't care either. They don't care about their constituents. If they did, they would be okay with a lot of stuff that President Trump is doing because he's making America safer. But anyway, I digress.
That's how I feel.
So who do you want to run America?
The people, preferably.
You want the people to run America?
Like a democracy.
The people voted President Trump into office. All 7 swing states, the popular vote, he won the electoral. We voted. That's how this goes.
Should be, yes.
Do you feel like the people voted for him?
I think the people were fooled.
Fooled by who?
Him.
How?
I don't,
It's
dude.
a false consciousness.
It's a what?
It's a false consciousness.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah,
Okay, so
Can I see your sign?
Can you see it?
No, I'm sitting right here.
To the camera.
No, to the camera, brother.
I'm talking to you.
But I'm interviewing. I got a mic.
I don't care.
all people are children of the earth is what his sign says. But I guarantee you he's okay with abortion. I guarantee it.
About that.
You decided to
I'm
talk.
here as an individual.
Individual.
I'm here as an individual.
Okay.
I'm talking to you as an individual.
Okay, well, I want to see the sign.
Read
If you have a sign.
Read the sign.
Okay, all right. What the sign say? What does the sign say? Hold on, brother. What does the sign?
You go out of your way.
All people are children
How about that?
of the earth.
Yeah, all people are children of the earth. Can you disagree with that? Can you disagree with
No, I
that?
can't disagree.
No, I don't disagree with it. I do think that there's people that shouldn't be in our country and that should be locked up, even if it's in an El Salvador prison. I think that there's terrible people in the world, and they don't deserve to be out in the free world of America. I don't think that they should be here. They're terrible people. They're hideous people, and they shouldn't be in America. I don't want them here in our streets, in our neighborhoods with our children. There's terrible people in the world. Two things can be true at once. All people are children of the earth. Sure. I believe all people are children of God. That does not negate the fact that there are evil people in the world who will do harm to you and your family. And those types of people, I'd rather them not be in our communities. If they're an illegal criminal gang member, send them back. Send them to I don't care. At this, I do not care. If you're advocating for somebody of that stature who is a hardened criminal, who does horrendous things, you're an evil person. If you're advocating to keep them in our communities where our children play and everything, you're an evil person. I don't care. That's it. I've said it a million times. I'll say it a million more every time this comes up. But anyway, we'll get back to this. It's almost over.
Agree.
What do you got to say about that?
Can't disagree.
Me neither.
Yeah. I love that, brother. Yeah. All people are people of the earth. I love that, man.
Anyway, the left-wing talking points. That's it. Now, the rumor about these people being paid. Now, I've seen a bunch of stuff. There's nonprofits and these NGOs and whatnot have you. I mean, these people are. It wouldn't surprise me that I haven't seen any actual evidence, but there's people. I've seen videos of people being bussed into these protests. I've seen claims about them being paid to be there, which it would not shock me one bit. Not in the least. But I do have a video here of this girl who was on the TikTok, and she has come out and she said that she was actually paid to be there. So we'll take a look at what she says. We'll take a look here. It's wild. I mean, like I said, I haven't seen an actual evidence of this being true other than just people saying that it is. So I can't say for certain. I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me, not in the least.
I was one of the paid protesters at the April 5th liberal protests. And so I just wanted to come on and talk about my experience, what I had to do to get paid, and how much I got paid. So there were two kind of parts to it. The first was obviously just showing up. They gave me like a time and a place and told me to look for a girl with blue hair and a nose ring, which
Why does that not surprise me in the least? Oh, just when you get there, just look for a girl with blue hair and a nose ring. That's like every liberal ever. Anyway,
like I thought would be really hard. Because I thought like everyone was gonna look like that, but luckily she was the only one. It was really easy to find her.
okay.
So yeah, that was good. I checked in. They told you that you couldn't wear anything MAGA. They also asked you not to wear red. So
Well, of course not. You'd get jumped if you went to one of these protests with MAGA gear on. I'd imagine you would have got jumped. Maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, most of the people apparently were older, but who knows? I mean, you never know.
I just wore a black t-shirt and jeans. And yeah, I checked in and then they said just like go on the march. And then at the end, there would be like a questionnaire to answer. Oh, and then the other thing is they said they would pay extra if you brought a sign. So I did bring a sign. Again, same thing.
So they'd pay her extra if she brought a sign. So she did. I don't blame her. Somebody tells me, "I'll bring a sign," they'll pay you more. Okay. If I was to go to something like this.
Like couldn't be MAGA, had to like be in line with like the liberal agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
sign said, everyone deserves a good education, which like I don't necessarily personally agree with. Like if you're gonna be a server or like a mechanic, like you don't really need an education.
Look, this is a good example of look. She doesn't really care about this stuff. Again, this goes back to my point about teenagers. They've got better things to do. But she took this as she's going to make some extra cash, make a little side money, what have you. I don't blame her. I would if something turned violent, but that's that wasn't the case. So I can't blame her for making a little bit of money. There's a lot of this stuff out there, and it does make people believe that look, maybe this stuff is paid. These people don't really care about what they're saying. They don't even know what they're saying from the previous video. I mean, it's nuts.
But I wanted to fit in. I wanted the money.
She wanted to fit in.
I
She
didn't
wants the
want
money.
to draw attention to myself, so that's what I went with. So anyways, I went on the march and then at the end I had to check back in and that's when they gave me the questionnaire. And okay, the interesting thing is like
So keep that in mind too. Look, these people they said they're going to get paid to be there. They'll get extra money for bringing a sign. And then you got to fill out a questionnaire afterwards. This is wild.
you had to answer the questionnaire as if you were a liberal. And
Yeah.
there were right and wrong answers. Like it wasn't just like whatever you thought. Like you could get the questions wrong and you had to get them right in order to get paid.
See, if somebody I don't know if that was disclosed. I don't know. If this person says, "Look, come to this rally, this protest, we'll pay you. Bring a sign, we'll pay you extra. Oh, and you got to take this survey after the protest, and if we don't like what you say on the survey, then you're not going to get paid." What? Anyway,
That's why I had already invested like 2 hours of my time, so I wanted the money, you know?
well, yeah.
So the first question, for example, was why do Republicans want more women to stay home and not work and not have jobs? And again, I just kind of like had to put myself in like their mindset. So I wrote.
Look, I'm just going to say this as a quick side note. The Democrat Party wants women in the workforce. Why? Because look, way back when women first started working, it was a huge revenue as far as extra tax income when women went into the workforce. Before women weren't working, and the Democrats figured this out. They said, "Oh, there's this whole other working class that we could be charging taxes on, and we're just losing out on that money." Why do you think in today's day and age that you cannot survive on a single income? It's nearly impossible. unless you're just lucky enough to have a very high paying job, a solo income, most cases you're not going to survive. In most cases, you need a dual income. That's because of the policies that were put in place, and now you can't survive as a solo income. You just can't. I know people who are struggling trying to survive, single moms and dads who don't have a dual income. It's just them, and they are struggling beyond belief. It's because of the policies and the structure that the Democrats set up when they said, "Oh my gosh, there's this whole other tax bracket that we haven't tapped into. We need to get women in the workforce. That's extra tax income for us." That's my opinion. You can tell me if you think I'm wrong. That clearly in my eyes, that's clearly what I think. But anyway, that's just a side note, but I'm going off the rails here, but we'll get back to this.
So basically, like, if women don't have jobs or job experiences and they have to rely on men financially, and that gives men a lot more control over their lives. For example, like, if like she's in an abusive situation or whatever, she can't really leave, especially if she has kids. She doesn't really have the means to take care of them, and she doesn't have the experience to get a job that could like afford to take care of them. So it just gives like the men a lot more control to kind of do what they want her to do, basically.
And let me say this too, as just another side note: the majority of people in college, the majority are women, overwhelmingly. Because, well, I'll say this is just my personal belief, but in most cases, women are probably smarter than men. That's just my opinion. I'm probably wrong, but that's just what I think. But more women go to college than men. It's just a fact. Most of the men there are probably either on I'm not going to say there's not a lot, because there is, but there's more women in college than men. It's just this statistical, fact. So
that was my answer for the first one, and I got that right. But there were some that I just like didn't really know what they would consider a right answer. So I just asked, I was like, what do I do if I don't know how to answer this? And she said, just like do your best and then come talk to her at the end. So for example, there was one I didn't really know what to say.
just do your best, but if you get something wrong, we're not going to give you the money that we promised you. But just do your best.
It was like, what is critical race theory, and why should it be taught, and like what's an example of like something that you could learn from it? And
Wow.
I like didn't know what they wanted the answer to. So I just asked her about that one, and the answer that she gave is basically they just want people to understand the lasting effects and impact of segregation and discrimination. And the example she gave was
The left is pushing for segregation again. Not only between just races, but men and women as well. Anyway,
she called it like generational wealth. And she explained that during slavery and during Jim Crow, and like even after that in some places, like Black families have been essentially barred from owning homes, where like white families could own a home and then like pass that down, and their family can either like live in that home and not have to pay for a mortgage, or they could. So I wrote that
I'll skip
down.
forward a little bit.
And yeah, I got paid
Okay.
$100 for going to the protest.
$100, $100 for a couple of hours, maybe another 20 minutes for the survey. Ain't bad. I'm just saying, $100 for a couple hours. That's pretty good. $50 an hour, pretty much. Give or take 10, 20 minutes for the survey. $100, that ain't bad. Not bad.
And then I got paid an extra $10 for bringing the sign.
Oh, an extra $10 for
And
the
like
sign.
overall, it was a pretty good experience. Like the people were
110.
pretty nice. Everyone smelled really good, which is like a surprise to me. But yeah, so the questionnaire had 8 questions. So let me know if you.
Not a bad questionnaire, I guess. But if you get one of them questions wrong, you're not going to get that money.
want me to talk about the other questions, or let me know if you have any questions. And then I think people got different questions on that questionnaire. So let me know what your questions were and like.
Weird. Strange. I mean, again, I'll say it. I don't know if this is the case for everybody, but it does not surprise me if they're paying people to come out to these protests. It doesn't. It's you know, and the funding part, like, where is this money coming from? There's a lot of rumors going about, Soros being the obvious one, but there's a lot of different companies. I don't know if, a lot of them were nonprofits. Money getting funneled to them, and then that's how these people are getting paid. Wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me. Now, I can't say definitively whether or not these companies are actually paying these protesters. I don't know who paid her. I don't. She never says. So I don't know. I don't know if she's telling the truth. Wouldn't surprise me if she was. I'm just saying I can't prove any of this, but that's the rumors flying around. And it wouldn't surprise me if it came into fruition that this was all true. These people are actually getting paid to be there. Would not surprise me in the least. So, speaking of money, we'll move on to tariffs. And look, tariffs, the stock market, let's not be coy about this. You can go and look at anything. Go look at one of a stock market app. Go to a stock market website. Take a look at the market going back just a few years, okay? The stock market where it is now is way, way higher than what it was during Biden's presidency. Way higher. It's without a doubt in my mind, the stock market has risen since President Trump took office, and it has taken a drop. It's still not nearly as bad as it was back during the Biden administration. You can take a look for yourself. I encourage you to do so. Go look at the stock market. It's not as bad as it was during the Biden presidency. It's not. Has it dipped? Yeah. Has it taken a big dip? Sure. Will it even out? I think it will. This is what the stock market does. Crazy stuff in the world happens. It takes a dip, but does it come back up and level out? Yes. Yes, it does. And again, I'll say one more time, go take a look at the stock market. You'll see it's a lot higher than what it was. Even with the dip that we're in right now, it's higher than what it was during the Biden presidency. That being said, take a look at this, and keep in mind, when people are complaining about this kind of stuff, the tariffs haven't taken place yet. The reciprocal tariffs that President Trump is putting into place, they haven't gone into effect yet. I can't tell you when they do, but I'll look into it some more. But I know for the reciprocal tariffs have not taken place yet. He is giving countries time to, react to it, do what they need to do, come back and maybe bargain with President Trump on the tariffs, that kind of stuff. They haven't taken place yet because President Trump is giving these countries time to do what they need to do, whatever they feel like doing. Anyway, we'll take a look at this one. This is apparently grocery stores have already raised their prices. I don't know about this, but I could be wrong. I don't know the prices in New Jersey. But anyway, take a look. New Jersey shopper says because of Trump's tariffs, she just paid more than twice as much for some groceries. Fun fact, those tariffs aren't in place yet. Yes, they haven't taken effect yet. But people are blaming everything, as far as cost of living, everything, on these reciprocal tariffs that haven't even been put into place yet. The stock market dip. Oh, it's because of Trump's reciprocal tariffs. They're not even in place yet. But people are going to believe what they believe. They'll believe the mainstream media because, that's how most people are. But I digress.
Hey, Kelly. So we're here in Teterboro, Costco on one side, a Walmart right behind me. We've been talking to a lot of people who in many cases are doing their weekly shopping. And the common refrain we've heard is that prices were already going up and they are worried they could go up even more and that the consumer is feeling very stressed. We heard from one woman who even said that the same basket of groceries that she regularly buys has now effectively doubled. Take a listen.
I feel like the prices.
Now, look, just as another side note here, and I'm not, this person could be the nicest person in the world. I'm not saying that she's not. I'm just saying you couldn't find somebody other than this person. Again, I'm not trying to bash her, but just, I mean, a job interview. If you're going in for a job interview, you look like this, you think, I mean, it's just, maybe I'm just being a little too judgmental, but I don't know.
Are ridiculous now. It's to the point where it's going to be harder for people to shop because the prices are just insane. Literally, yes, because last week I like literally for the same amount of stuff that I bought, I literally paid like maybe $30-40, and now it's like $75 for like 3 bags of groceries.
Again, I'm not saying, I don't live in New Jersey. I don't know what their prices are. I don't know what they were a week ago. I don't know what they are now. But I can tell you for me, I went to the grocery store yesterday. I didn't see anything that was 3 times higher than what it was the last time I was in there a week or 2 ago. Again, I don't live in New Jersey. Maybe other grocery stores are just raising their prices willy-nilly. I don't know. But again, the tariffs haven't even taken place yet. These reciprocal tariffs, they haven't taken place. So again, I don't live in New Jersey. Maybe they have raised their prices, but like I said, I went shopping yesterday. Didn't see any kind of major crazy increase. Didn't cost me any more than it did the last time I was there. Anyway. Okay, so that being said, we'll just go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the TikTok thing. Look, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I don't like the TikTok. I don't. That's my opinion. I don't like the fact that I don't like the fact that it's a Chinese company, and the fact that China itself does not allow its citizens to use the app tells me everything I need to know about it. Make of that what you will, but if the Chinese government does not let their own citizens use this app, that tells me it's probably pretty bad. But that's just my opinion. It's nuts to me. I don't like that I don't like that they have, all of our information. It's a Chinese-based company. The fact that they don't let their own citizens use it, and the fact that it's just grooming young people into LGBTQAI plus bullcrap. Now, a lot of conservatives and right-wing personalities are on TikTok, and I'm not taking any credit away from them. But when you've got somebody like Dylan Mulvaney, who has millions of followers on the TikTok app, and you've got somebody like the older millennial who has not even a quarter of the following that Dylan Mulvaney has, makes me believe that they do. You can go whatever you want to. I mean, this is what I think, because you can't explain to me how Dylan Mulvaney has millions upon millions of followers and right-wing conservative people on the app have not even a quarter of that. It doesn't make sense. Like I said, I'm not a TikTok fan. Do I have it? Yes. Do I get on there? Not really. But I do have it. I probably should get rid of it. But anyway, this is from the AP. Washington President Donald Trump on Friday said he is signing an executive order to keep TikTok running for the U.S. for another 75 days to give his administration more time to broker a deal to bring the social media platform under American ownership. Now, this comes as he put in the reciprocal tariffs, and China has backed out. They were supposedly talking about selling it to an American company by the 5th. They have come out and said this isn't happening. So all we can do is wait and see what happens. The order was announced as White House officials believed they were nearing a deal for the app's operations to be spun off into a new company based in the U.S. and owned and operated by a majority of American investors, with China's Dance Bite maintaining a minority position, according to a person familiar with the matter. Beijing hit the brakes on a deal Thursday after Trump announced wide-ranging tariffs around the globe, including against China. ByteDance representatives called the White House to indicate that China would no longer approve the deal until there could be negotiations about trade and tariffs, said the person, who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss the sensitive deals of the negotiations. Again, like I said, I don't agree with him pushing this back again, and I don't think that it was actually him that prolonged it the first time when he was actually put into presidency. I don't think it was him that actually. I think it was TikTok just playing games, but and then they gave credit to President Trump. But that's just my opinion. I'm probably wrong on that, but that's just how I think about it. I don't like TikTok. I don't think it should be around, and if it's not owned by an American company, I don't think we should be using it. That's my opinion. Like it or hate it, that's how I think. But we'll go ahead and move on to this. This is from Pulse Millennial. This is the DHS and IRS talking, and the IRS is okay with giving DHS Social Security information on illegals. I'm fine with this. I got to kind of wrap it up here. I went a little long with the protests, but the Department of Homeland Security is seeking access to confidential tax records from the Internal Revenue Service in an effort to locate as many as 7 million people to be believed to be in the United States illegally, according to the report by the Washington Post. I'm fine with this. Look, anything else that we have access to, I mean, there's a lot of there's just lists that the Biden administration had on illegals within the country that they just didn't do anything about. Tom Homan got in there with President Trump, and then they started taking action. You got people in jails that are here illegal. You got lists out there of illegals and locations. You've got gang members. It's not that hard. You're taking the worst of the worst out first, and then we can work on the rest. I'm fine with this. I'm okay with the IRS working with DHS in order to find illegals within this country. I'm fine with it. If you're not, you can let me know. Comment below. Let me know. But I got to wrap it up. But I appreciate you hanging out. And hey, if you like what you saw, if you hung out this far through all my ramblings, I do appreciate it. And you can hit that follow button, hit the like, share the show. Sharing it is the best way of getting my name out there. I'm pretty close to, I really want to do this all the time. So, hey, hit that follow button. I really appreciate you hanging out again. And you can follow me on you can subscribe on YouTube, but I don't know why you would. Just go to Rumble. You can also follow me on X at The Political Ray. Again, I appreciate y'all hanging out. Everybody have a great day, and God bless.